Good morning, everyone on the West Coast, and good afternoon, everyone in the East. This is John Garmendi with Sony's Professional Solutions of America. Thank you all for joining us on another of our series of Tech Tuesday webinars. These webinars were created in response to the COVID crisis so that we can provide our end users, resellers, and consultant community with continuing updates on our products and solutions. Joining me today will be Kiana Pompa, our sales support engineer for the Western Zone, and Chris Swartz, our product manager for TEOS. Today's webinar will be on the TEOS Workplace Management Solution. TEOS is our complete suite of workplace management solutions that allow you to achieve efficiency, insight, and impact through complete workplace control and allow you to optimize your organization as uses of devices, space, and time to unlock the true potential of your workforce. I'd remind you just a couple of pieces of housekeeping. Questions, please submit your questions via the question panel. And also throughout the webinar, I'll insert some links into some of the relevant information on our website. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Kiana Pompa, Sales Support Engineer for the Western Zone.
Hi, everyone. So today we're trying something a little different. So I'll be on camera for a partial demonstration. So today's agenda, we are going over our TEOS overview, introduction to TEOS Managed Server, the TEOS solution model, current customers, and a live demo with a future roadmap. This will take around 30 minutes and we'll have a Q&A at the very end. So feel free to use the chat window like John Garmendi said. So let's hop right into it. So the first thing we're going to discuss is TEOS Manage. So it stands for Transform, Enhance, Optimize, and Simplified. So this use case really came up within our own Sony offices where we realized that having a meeting can be very cumbersome. The IR remote is missing, the projector doesn't power on, we can't find the dongles to change from DisplayPort to HDMI, and I'm sure you have those same problems in your own meeting room or in your own offices. So we created TEOS to really streamline that whole process so that when you come into a room, it's automated, it's simple, user-friendly, and you can just start with no loss of time. And if you have issues, you can easily pinpoint them using our TEOS Managed platform. So this is actually the 1,000-foot view of what TEOS has to offer. So it's an all-in-one solution that offers all of these. So if you're interested in room booking, wayfinding, a survey, digital signage, this is all built into our platform. But specifically today, we will only focus on two. We will have TEOS Managed Server, a light overview, and then we're also going to discuss our TEOS room booking technology, and you can also see a live view of my tablet. So one thing that I really want to mention is that Sony is actually controlling our own devices. So that means our projectors, our tablets, and our displays. But we also play well with others. So we will control LG, Samsung, Philips. We do have a compatibility list, but all of this is done via IP control. So if you do have a space that you'd like to repurpose any of your devices, you could reach out to your Sony account manager or Sony rep for questions on this. We also integrate with multiple calendars. So if you're using Office 365, Exchange, Google, it really doesn't matter. And if you do want to integrate your users as well, we integrate with Active Directory and single sign-on. So lots of flexibility. And it's basically, most of it is software, very minimal hardware, and it's all over IP. So this is the TEOS Managed Server. So at this portion, we're going to switch over to a live demo. Okay. So you should all be seeing my TEOS tablet, and this is my TEOS Managed Server here in my home office. So as you can see here, all of the workplace solutions are listed for you. Like I said, today we're going to focus on room booking. So if you click on room booking, you can see the tablets that we already have set up. So for today, for example, is we're going to use Seinfeld. Seinfeld's actually a real room in our Rancho Bernardo office, so we kind of scaled it to that. So you see the pages here. If you want to edit the page and edit your template, you can easily adjust here. You can add videos, text, buttons, integration to YouTube. One quick thing that I also want to mention is that if you want to create your own template, it's super easy. All you have to go do is click on your meeting room, and we have two examples for different users. So for example, you can create your own template here by using our samples, or you can start off completely blank. So you can have as much flexibility as you want. I know some customers really just want to start and just connect their calendar to this room booking software. Other users want complete customization. So you could do either or. And another cool feature that TEOS offers is enabling screensaver. So say, for example, if there's no meeting booked for the next 3 hours, it does have a screensaver mode where you can create digital signage and that will run. And as soon as you click on the touch screen, or if there's a meeting coming up, it will switch back to the calendar view. So it's just some really cool things that you could do with our room booking system. So we're going to go into our global overview. So I always like to show this to users because it gives you full statistics of what TEOS has to offer. So for example, it will tell you how many devices are currently in use. This is especially helpful for future builds. So say, for example, if you know your meeting room has a projector that has only been used for 100 hours and you've already had it there for the full year, for the next room, you could decide to plan on only using, say, for example, displays instead of investing more money on projectors for the next year. It also gives you room statistics. So we were talking about room booking. It tells you how many meetings you've actually booked per room and if those rooms were actually no-shows. So we could see who repeat offenders are, what time the meeting started, booking rate, average meeting duration, etc. So again, future building, if you see that all of your meeting rooms are always in use, you can always integrate and add more. From here, you can export all of this data, and even in signage, it gives you statistics on incidents, which ones were played more often. And at the end of the day, this is really, really helpful because it gives you a return on investment. What is actually running, what power consumption is, all of that good stuff is integrated through here. The next area that I want to discuss in the TEOS managed server is site administration. So this is where you actually see all of your devices. We've already currently tested for up to 2,000 devices. You can definitely do more depending on your hardware, but this is all based on IP, so it's really easy to add them. We are only here in my home office, so I only have one tablet, which you see in your viewing window down below. So currently right now we're using the meeting room Seinfeld, but I did want to show you how easy it is to stop a meeting. So right now I'm showcasing Tech Tuesdays. So if you see the bezel here is red, that we are currently in session. But if I want to switch to a different template, I can easily do that by changing. So you click on save and then you press play. In a couple of seconds, it will switch over to that new template. And as you can see now, because it's in a different room, the LED bezel lights turn green and it's in a completely different template setting. You can also pinpoint issues. So say, for example, a user calls you and says, I cannot book a room or I cannot see the screen. You can click on this control button and execute a command. So you can power on and off, you can change the volume, you can press home, click on return. This gives you a live view of what you're currently seeing on the tablet. Additionally, this makes it really, really easy in site management, service management. You can actually update and add applications. So for example, we're looking at our Seinfeld tablet. These are a list of all of the Android applications that we can update and install from a list. We can also pull logs. Just download the logs here. You can also add warranty information just so our tablets are covered by a 3-year warranty. So our Pro Bravia displays, you can add here and select the date on when the warranty will expire. So if you want to manage it through here, it's really convenient. Also for our Pro Bravia displays, you can remotely update the firmware as you see fit. All of your content, media, and data live on your server. You can go into content creation, and whether you're creating a room booking template, digital signage, a virtual reception, all of it is in the same place. Like I said before, a complete workplace solution that you see here. So now that you had a little taste of what TEOS Manage has to offer, how to use room booking, we're going to discuss the TEOS solution model. So the first thing you have to do is you have to purchase your TEOS Managed software license. So this is essentially the server. You install the software license on a Windows 2012 server or higher, and then from there you choose your hardware. So are you going to use tablets for room booking, and then if you're going to use displays for digital signage, and then additionally the software that goes on top of that hardware. The best part about options 1 and 2 is that this is a completely one-time fee. It's not reoccurring. The only optional services that are reoccurring is support. So if you want continuous firmware updates and support, service and support, you would choose that option to extend for additional years, and it's really cost effective. To give you a little sample of how the pricing is laid out for you, if you're interested in room booking in a tablet license, it would be here. Pricing is down below. So the server software is here. If you simply just want to control your displays, for example, it's a low price here as well. If you have any questions on pricing, again, feel free to contact your Sony rep or your Sony account manager. I really want to notate that TEOS has been around since 2017, and we are in 200 plus organizations. This is a company that actually started from our Sony Europe side, and we are bringing it here to the US as of December 2019. We have officially launched here in the States. So with that, here is an example installation. So again, lots of customers, lots of happy customers because it's very, very easy to use. And what we found is that once you enter into, say, for example, room booking, users are more inclined to add on to those services. So you can always scale and start from room booking, and then later on, say you want integration with wayfinding in your lobby, you can definitely do that. You can purchase as you go. You don't have to use all of them at once. You can integrate. So here's a roadmap of the future. So again, we've been around since 2017. Currently in 2020, we have already launched our room sensors, desk booking, and we're currently also offering building management and smart automation. Voice control, conferencing, VR meeting, and virtual assistants are all future roadmap currently as well. One thing I also want to note is that we do offer customization within our software. We do have programmers out in Europe, so if you need something completely customizable that is special to your environment, that's something we can definitely do. Reach out to your Sony account manager. So at this point, I will like to go over a Q&A, and I will be joined with the product manager, Chris Schwartz. John, do we have any questions?
Thanks, Kiana. Yeah, we have a couple of questions. Stand by. This one is from Larry. For the TEOS server license, how many displays can it support, room bookings, and signage?
So currently, right now, we have tested for up to 2,000 devices. It really depends on your hardware, um, but give or take 2,000 devices, whether that be tablets, displays.
Okay, great. We've got a question from James. Is SQL required? If so, how many licenses are required?
Yes, SQL is required, but I'll let Chris go over that in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, there's only one license. I mean, you just need an SQL database, and when you install the managed server, there's one that's installed locally. But if you have SQL databases on your enterprise network and you want to use them for bigger functionality, you can just point the TEOS managed software to those SQL databases. So it's just one license that's necessary.
Great. Thanks, Chris. We've got a question from Gene. Can TEOS reception work as a standalone check-in system without all the other components of TEOS?
Yes, thank you, Jean. So the answer to that question is yes. As I mentioned earlier, all of the devices that you see are completely scalable, so you can start off with just reception. One key thing to note is that you will always need a TEOS managed server to use any of the options, basically the heart and the brains of the operation.
Question from Jaya. Can we get a recording of this webinar, please? Yes, Jaya. I put in the group chat. I put a link to our YouTube playlist where all of our previously recorded Tech Tuesdays will appear or are right now, and this one will be up there by the end of the week. So a question from Andrew. Will TEOS integrate with other control systems such as Crestron and Extron products?
So with that question, Crestron and Extron, since they are their own control system, they could work side by side, but not currently together. They could still work at the switcher component if needed, but they would run completely separate.
Okay. Question from Glenn. Any thermal imaging on the roadmap? How about voice control over meetings?
Chris, would you take over the roadmap question?
Sure. Right now, we don't have any thermal imaging products, but I think that some of those things could be implemented later down the road, depending upon how how much people really want these things. And when it comes to voice control, we don't have any voice control right now, so no direct integration with Alexa or Google Play or Google Assistant. But the Bravia itself actually is integrated with Google Assistant.
So the question from John. What are the bandwidth and network equipment requirements to support TEOS?
So there's no specific network requirements. It's just a normal network. We run on low bandwidth. Chris, do you want to add on to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically what you said. I mean, it's just commercially available, Ethernet switches and routers, those type of things. Nothing special. There's no specific protocols with this that need to be passed on any kind of special networking equipment. So if you've got Cisco or switches, Cisco, Dell, HP, whatever, it's going to work. It's going to work over your generic network.
And one from Akeem. Does TEOS Connect support full motion video?
Yes, TEOS Connect does support full motion video, and it supports up to 4 different quadrants, so 4 people can connect at a time.
I have a question.
If you let me say something there, John. I'm sorry. If you guys don't know what TEOS Connect is, because we didn't really talk about it, but it is actually a piece of TEOS, a service of TEOS where there's an application that lives on the Bravia, and when you walk into a room, you are able to wirelessly stream your desktop from your PC or your phone, either Mac or Windows, to the Bravia itself. I just wanted to let you guys know if you guys didn't know what TEOS Connect was. And that app lives on the Bravia, so there's no other hardware that sits in the room or anything like that. Thanks,
Great,
John.
thanks. Thanks, Chris. Got a question from Allah. Might need some clarification, but he's asking, or she's asking, as I know, no need for TEOS to run the Bravia as digital signage. Can you clarify this point? So I guess some further clarification on running the digital signage application on displays other than Bravia is that the question, Allah?
That sounds like what the question is. Kiana, you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. So for example, if you're using a third-party display that is not a Sony Pro Bravia, we do have an external device called TEOS. It's like a little TEOS player. So that way you can send digital signage content over the network and we could still manage it and see it on our server side.
And there's a follow-up question from Allah. Is the mobile app free or do we have to pay for a license?
Chris, do you want to expand on that?
The mobile app itself, when you download it, is free, but you have to have licenses per the amount of users that you want to have access to that mobile app. So it's a license that lives on the server, and if you've got, if you've got 50 people in your organization, you want all 50 of them to have access to it, you'll need to buy 50 licenses for that.
Thanks, Chris. Another question from Tom. Are all devices connected to LAN?
Yes, so all of the devices are connected via IP because we need IP control, but that doesn't mean they have to be wired. This could be wireless or wired LAN control.
Great. And a follow-up question, is this app-based or are there external devices that plug directly into an input?
So a little bit of both. So a lot of this is application software based. But again, like we mentioned earlier, if you are using third-party devices, we do have a product called TEOS Player so that we can integrate third-party devices into our system.
Okay. And another follow-up question from Allah, is this hardware, I guess, is the solution available in the Middle East region? My assumption is yes, Chris, but maybe you might have a knowledge of.
I don't have any specific knowledge of that region, but I would think that if you reached out to your Sony rep in that area, they could let you know. I know that we are having a push to bring this to regions that it's not currently being sold in. So if it isn't now, it will be soon.
Okay, and as a follow-up to that, I just was contacted here on the chat by our director of marketing, who confirms yes, it is available in EMEA. So thank you, Mark. Question from Jude. In regards to the new normal, are there touchless ways to check into booked meeting rooms using badges, RFID, etc.?
Okay, thanks for the question. So yes, actually our TEOS tablet does come with a RFID. It's like a separate little module you could add on to our tablet. So instead of clicking the tablet to say that you are ready for the meeting or start the meeting, you can simply swipe your RFID to check in or to start your meeting.
Okay. Another question from Gene. How do you stop someone from changing the display settings of a screen that is being used by someone else, intentionally or unintentionally?
Sure. So our Pro Bravia displays have multiple ways to lock features down. So if you're part of our Tech Tuesday last week, we did discuss that in detail. If you didn't, go ahead and use the YouTube links that John provided in the chat so that you could review it. Additionally, say for example, if you're using TEOS Connect, you have to have a specific PIN for that specific room that does refresh in different intervals as you set them. So there's lots of ways to do this, and we do our best to make all of the features secure. Chris, do you want to add on to any of that?
Yeah, I would want to add a little bit. If you have multiple users on the managed server, you would want to make sure that you give those users specific permissions, and you have the capability to do this inside the server. You give users roles, and those roles will basically define what they can and can't do within the server, and that will lock down things quite a bit. So if you're worried about people getting into the server remotely while people are having meetings in a room and changing things, you just have to make sure that you give certain users specific rights, and that will control all of that.
Thanks, Kiana and Chris. It looks like we may have come to the end of our questions. I'll just give another minute for any others who would like to submit. And while I'm waiting for that, just a reminder to everyone in the chat box, I sent a couple of links. One is the link to the main TEOS website on our Sony Professional site. I also included a link to the TEOS tablet information and the download TEOS brochure. And also on that site, you can also book a demo. So I want to remind everyone, if you want to book a demonstration, as we've done here now, either for your organization or if you're a reseller, you want to do it for your end users, please, by all means, either reach out to your local account manager or click schedule a demo there. And the last thing I put up was a link to our previous Tech Tuesday webinars. And as I said, we will have this one up by the end of the week. So, seeing no further up, I'm sorry, I actually have one last question from Joshua. So Joshua, this kind of borders on a, I would say a pricing question. So I would defer you to either your local reseller, or if you are a reseller, to your Sony account manager. Has to do with buying licenses in bulk and the ability to discount. So I would refer you to either one of those two avenues. And it looks like with that, this is the end of our Q&A session. As a reminder, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for spending time every week with Sony. We really appreciate it. We know you're busy, and we know your time is valuable. So we're very appreciative. As a reminder, wanted to talk about some of the upcoming webinars. And as you can see, we've got quite a few scheduled. SXRD projectors, PTZ cameras, and I wanted to bring to your attention especially the 16th of June, which will fall within the Avixia Infocom Connected event. So I would say that we're not going to have a formal Tech Tuesday on that day, but I would encourage you to schedule a virtual meeting with us at the Infocom Connected 2020. Afterwards, on the 23rd of June, we'll be going over Bravia Pro displays, and on the 30th, CLED, which is our crystal LED direct view solution, an overview and applications. And with that, I want to thank everyone again for your time and for joining us this week, and look forward to seeing you virtually next week. Thanks, everyone.